I never would have thought this would happen to me. It hurts to think about it. They told me war would change me. They didn't say how. I arrived in Ukraine 2 years ago, with nothing but a military bag and a promise I didn't know how to keep. I wasn't a soldier, not really. Just an American who couldn't sleep while cities burned on another continent. People asked why I came. I never gave the same answer twice. I ended up in a town most maps don't mention, somewhere east, where the air tasted of ash and distant wheat fields. A place too small for hope and too quiet for forgetting. That's where I met her. Her name was Katia. She wasn't loud, or brave, or sweet. She was real. She wore sadness like a scarf. Not to hide, just to stay warm. She worked at a supply depot, bringing boxes to the front. We met over spilled tea and a crooked smile. I never believed in love during war, but some hearts bloom under shellfire. She said she didn't trust Americans. I said I didn't trust myself either. Katia had seen too much, her brother gone in Mariupol, her father before that. But she still showed up every day in that worn olive jacket, her hands red from cold, her voice soft like smoke. We didn't fall in love like in movies. There were no grand gestures, just quiet, long silences between shellings. Her fingers brushing mine when we passed ammo boxes. Her standing in the doorway after curfew, waiting to see if I came back. I lost men in the trenches. I lost sleep. But when I lost her for even a minute, the fear was different. Not sharp like war. Slow. Dull. Like bleeding under skin. The drone strike came at 2:17 a.m. I remember because I was awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe beside me. The next thing I remember is the heat. The roar. The blood. I woke up 3 days later in a field hospital outside Kramatorsk. They told me I'd live. They told me I'd walk, with help. They didn't tell me she hadn't visited. Dr. Anton was the one who cleaned the shrapnel from my leg. He smelled like mint and soap, too polished for a place that reeked of iodine and burnt skin. He smiled too easily. He mentioned Katia's name before I did. I see she's been visiting often, he said. I hadn't seen her once. A week later, I caught a glimpse of her in the hallway. Her hair was down. She looked tired. And she wasn't alone. He touched her lower back like it was already his. She didn't flinch. I did. That night, I asked her to come. Just talk. Nothing else. She texted back 3 words. It's complicated now. Complicated. I lost a leg. I lost a unit. I lost the sound of my name in her voice. But for her, it was just complicated. I stared at the prosthetic they brought me. Metal, plastic, hope, all stitched into a shape that no longer belonged to me. When she finally came, she brought flowers. I think they were stolen from a graveyard. She sat at the edge of the bed. Too far to touch. Too close to ignore. I thought you died, she said. I didn't, I answered. She looked down. You changed. No, I said. You did. She didn't deny it. Didn't explain. Didn't cry. She just reached for my hand, and I let her. Not because I forgave her. Because I wanted to feel her warmth one more time, before it belonged to someone else. After discharge, I didn't go home. I stayed. Back in the same broken town, in a rented house with cracked windows and a dog that didn't bark. Nights were loud, drones over the fields, air raid sirens like lullabies for the damned. But inside, it was quieter than ever. I fixed radios no one used. I planted things that wouldn't grow. Sometimes, I thought I saw her on the street. But it was never her. Only echoes. The dog started sleeping by the door. Every night, same spot. Waiting for a knock that never came. Sometimes I talked to him. Told him things I couldn't tell anyone else. Like how I still dreamed of her voice. Not the words, just the rhythm. Like water hitting a tin roof. Or how I once walked 3 kilometers in the wrong direction, just to avoid passing her street. Or how I kept the old prosthetic, the first one, even after I got the better fit. Because I lost her while I wore that one. And some part of me thought maybe the memory lived in it. He just looked at me. Didn't need to understand. That's the thing about animals. They don't need to ask why you're broken. There was a night, mid-April. The air smelled like metal and wet grass. The power had gone out again. I sat on the porch with a candle and a coat that wasn't mine. And then the sirens. Sharp, cutting. The kind that doesn't wait for you to finish your tea. I didn't go inside. Not out of bravery. Just tiredness. And as I sat there, watching a drone stutter through the sky like a dying insect, I remembered her last words. You were always too still when it mattered. She was right. I wrote her once. Not to get her back. Not to forgive. Just to tell her something she never waited to hear. You weren't wrong to leave. You weren't wrong to need more. But I was wrong to think silence was strength. I should have told you I loved you when you were still deciding. I should have fought for something more than someone else's war. I hope he gives you peace. I hope you sleep without sirens now. I hope your coffee still has cinnamon. I never mailed it. It sits in a drawer, next to the medal they gave me for surviving what killed half my unit. Some nights, I take it out, read it out loud. To the silence. To the ghost of her. She doesn't answer, of course. But the wind shifts, just slightly. Like maybe, somewhere, she remembers too.